What up, everybody? Welcome into Studio Day here for you, where we've got your Cowboys news of the day for you. And I'm going to start with Randy Gregory. We do have content involving the Cowboys defensive line and the entire linebacker corps, but I want to start with Randy Gregory because Randy Gregory, to me, is the biggest breakout candidate for the Cowboys this year, and it's pretty easy to have him be the pick. Couple of things. Oh, I should have pulled the quote. Dave Hellman has it on his Twitter account. So do other people. But Randy Gregory is a fellow now mental health hero. He has become my homie. He doesn't know that, but he is. When asked about why he's so much more confident this year, he was talking about self-love and how back in the day, and I'm sorry, we'll get to football in a second. Mental health advocate here, okay? Anxiety, depression, I got them, so I'm into it. People who have any sort of struggle with mental health, a lot of times, and this has happened to me in therapy, somebody will ask you, hey, tell me what you like about yourself, and you draw a blank. And it's not that there's nothing good about you, you just can't think of it. You could tell them good things about all of your friends and anybody else, but about yourself, you're like, and then they're like, all right, is there anything that you don't like about yourself? And you can rattle off a list of 20 things, and it's no problem. Well, Randy Gregory, when talking to the media, actually said, he was like, yeah, that's where I was, and now I can tell you the good things about myself, you know? So, Randy Gregory is in the best mental space of his life. There's no doubt about that. This will be, I believe, his full offseason of getting work since his rookie year in 2015. And Randy's got a defensive coordinator that's got a plan for him and likes him, and he's going to kick ass this year. So that's just going to happen. Get ready for the Randy Gregory breakout. So what is Randy Gregory's role this year? Well, he was mentioning that he said not much will be different for him schematically, but then his quote was, and I quote, a lot of Sam, a lot of rushing, but a little more diverse in terms of looks. I think it's going to be a lot more fun for us, at least for me. So I want to go back to a picture that I showed you yesterday on a video, okay? This is a Dan Quinn defense in 2013 when they are lined up with four linebackers on the field, or four linebackers, right? The one that is playing what we would call the right defensive end, they have labeled as the Leo. That would be, as we've learned watching the Cowboys practice, here's where it gets fun. Sam is the guy on the left side for the defense, right side for the offense, across from the fullback tight endy guy that's wearing number 47, right? I should probably move myself out of the thing so you can still see me if anybody wants to. So the guy who is lined up as the Sam, that would be Randy Gregory. The guy who's lined up as the Leo, that would be Micah Parsons. So now you're set up. Randy Gregory yesterday was working on some drops because from Sam, you can rush the passer or you could drop into coverage as the third linebacker. The Leo could do the same thing. So it's a little less predictable, and I wondered exactly who would be which spot. Like, was Sam the strong side linebacker? Was that a spot where Jaylon Smith was going to get some snaps? But to hear that it would be Randy Gregory is even better. He's a better pass rusher. He's probably better in space too. So now you're looking at that picture, and it's like, okay, who are the two off-ball linebackers, the Mike and the Will? And the answer to that is, well, if Gregory's the Sam and the Leo is Parsons, then at Will linebacker, it will either be Vander, Esch, or Neal. And at Mike linebacker, it will either be Vander, Esch, or Jaylon Smith. So, again, it's kind of a reboot of what I talked about yesterday and how you get all these guys on the field. But more so, I just wanted to clarify Randy Gregory's role. So most of the time, this is not the defense you'll be in. Most of the time, you will not have this many linebackers on the field because you'll be a nickel, because NFL teams play nickel 75 to 80% of the time, which means you won't have all these linebackers on the field. But when you do, we know what Randy Gregory's role is going to be, and it's right there at Sam linebacker, which is awesome. So Randy Gregory is the obvious breakout candidate for the Cowboys this year, and I think it'll happen. He is a threat to be a double-digit sack guy, and I dig it. Now, from Todd Archer's Twitter account, and our own Brian Broaddus, of course, from 105.3 The Fan, is out at all of these practices, and he'll be out at the one today as well, so lock in from 4:30 or so to 7 on 105.3 The Fan or the Odyssey app, AUDACY. But this from Todd Archer. He said, did not look like Jaylon Smith and Leighton Vander Esch got a lot of work during the team in 7-on-7 drills. Neal and Micah Parsons took most of the turns with what would be called the number one defense. So what does it mean? Is it upon us? Is it done? Is Micah Parsons your middle linebacker and Neal is your weak side linebacker and Jaylon Smith and Leighton Vander Esch are going to watch those guys play football all the time? No, but it's on the way. There's no rush to slap Micah Parsons at middle linebacker for every snap because he's also going to rush the passer some. But what there is a rush to do is to get him acclimated. He's a rookie. He hasn't done the NFL before. You can read his quotes every day about how he's trying to put it together. He's trying to learn all these different things, but that it's a lot, and it's a lot to learn. So he's moving around. He's got a lot to learn, so he's got to get reps. Does it mean he would be the starting middle linebacker if there were a game tomorrow? No, it doesn't. But it means that's on the way. Neal getting snaps as the first-team weak side linebacker. He hasn't been a full-time linebacker in the NFL. He's been a strong safety. So another guy needs the work, needs the reps. Does it mean that if you played a game tomorrow, he would be the starting weak side linebacker? No. But it means he's on the way. So those are the two biggest things I wanted to get to today is the idea of the guys who are working with the first team when they were running 7-on-7, when they were running team stuff. It was Parsons, it was Neal. And that makes sense because a number 12 overall pick is not going to be watching the majority of football this year. He's going to be playing the majority of football this year. And I believe when a defensive coordinator brings in his guy, like Neal, that he wants to be a leader of the defense, it's hard to lead the defense while watching other people play a ton of football. So Jaylon, Leighton, Vander, Esch, they're not riding the bench all game. They're not watching these two dudes play all of the snaps. But we are laying the foundation for those two dudes are going to have a really, really big role, and Randy Gregory is going to be a badass. So what else do I want to get to? Maybe knock out a couple of mailbag questions. I might make a separate video later with mailbag questions because I have so many of them, but we get a few of them. J-Mac, how are Tank and Randy going to fit in the defense with the linebackers? So with Tank, I also think this is easy. Again, I'll bring our picture back. This is from Field Goals, GULLS.com. I just wanted to look up a generic photo of a Dan Quinn defense from 2013 to show people what it looks like. So in this scenario, where would Tank Lawrence play? I would imagine the 5-tech. So his left defensive end spot where he normally plays. Now, we have to stress over and over again, because it also doesn't really matter. But Tank's an incredible run player. This is not going to be his preferred place to line up in terms of rushing the passer because, as you can see, there's a lot of clutter there between him and the quarterback. He would be dealing with a right tackle, a tight end, a fullback. There's a lot going on, right? You would much rather not be mixed up in all that crap. But you play nickel 75, 80% of the time. So 75, 80% of the time, what you're really going to have is one of those bodies that is in that picture right there, because you can see 9 defenders. One of them won't exist because you'll have a slot corner in the game. And so it'll be much, much different. And Tank Lawrence, so for those 75 to 80% of his snaps in a football game, he will be playing where he plays, which is left defensive end. Randy Gregory will be playing right defensive end. But if they ever go to these looks where they want to get all their linebackers on the field, his natural role would be you're still the left defensive end. In this case, it's the 5-tech that is lined up across from the right tackle there. So nothing's going to change for Tank. He's just going to do Tank things, and he's going to be a really, really good player, and you're going to move on with your day. You're going to enjoy it. Let me see here. Oh, I wanted to throw in one more thing. This is a nugget. Guy that Brian Broaddus brought up multiple times on the show yesterday, the great Brian Broaddus, at Brian Broaddus with a Y on Twitter. I'm at JC1053. The name that he brought up to keep an eye on was Terrell Basham. He is a free agent signing for the Cowboys that will be playing defensive end, that can play some stand-up pass rush role. And maybe in another video I'll do today, we can talk about the numbers on the defensive line, because there's going to be guys that are fighting for their life on this roster, because you just have too many guys. They can keep 10 of them, but there's 12 or 13 guys that I think Cowboy fans are like, oh, yeah, he's on the team, and we'll have to work our way through that, especially if Terrell Basham is a guy that's going to be in. And that's the way that it sounded like from Brian Broaddus, that just, hey, he looks really good. That's a guy that's comfortable out there that is making plays. I do have a ton more mailbag questions, so we will get to them in another video after I go to therapy. Be nice. Ready to my shirt. There you go. Be nice. Andre 3000 says to be nice. Gandalf says to be nice. Doc Holliday says to be nice. So you have no idea what anybody's going through. So make sure you're cool to everybody. And I love you. But I got to give you my random question of the day. What do we want as our random question of the day? If you were a cowboy, not a Dallas Cowboy, but a real life cowboy, What kind of snack would you carry in your little sack for your ride on your horse into or out of town? What kind of snack would you have? An apple? Did they have goldfish back then? I don't think they did. What kind of snack would you have in your rucksack, in your man purse or whatever? And that's it. I love you. Bye.